What's going on, guys, and welcome to the first ever USMNT reaction video. The roster was just announced yesterday. Gregg Berhalter named his 27-man roster to face Jamaica, Panama, and Costa Rica in the October qualifiers. And today, we're going to be breaking down the players he called in. We're going to be talking about some of the biggest snubs, and we're going to go from there and just break down his selection, criticize it, praise it. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So Gregg called in 3 goalkeepers, as you usually would in a qualifying window. And this time, the keepers were Zach Steffen, Matt Turner, and Sean Johnson. The most notable snub from this is the exclusion of Ethan Horvath. As most of you know, he moved to Nottingham Forest over the summer transfer window and has had quite a rough start there. He's made some cup appearances. I'm not really sure if he's played in the league yet. Anyways, Nottingham Forest is just a mess right now. I mean, they are pretty sure they're bottom last in the championship. They just fired their manager, which is a bit unfortunate because he did have high praise for Ethan. But anyways, in the games that Ethan's played, he's made a few blunders, and really his form has been declining ever since his heroic performance against Mexico in the Nations League final. He really has not been able to figure out his club situation pretty much for the past 5 years now. Before he was at Club Brugge in Belgium, and he really never got games there. He had some good games in the Champions League, but their number one keeper was Simone Mignolet, the backup keeper for the Belgian national team. So he really never got a fair chance there, even though when he did play for them, he did do pretty good, but he has had a rough start at his new club. Zach Steffen was out of the last window due to COVID. He returned now. He did play in the Carabao Cup for City a few weeks back, but other than that, he's still the backup to Ederson. And he doesn't really play Premier League games. So he's back in the mix as expected. And the big question going into this window in the goalkeeper position is, will he get the start? Will Matt Turner get the start, or will they maybe split time and trade off each games, which we have seen with previous managers in previous qualifying windows? And if it were me personally, I would stick with what isn't broke, and I would continue to start Matt Turner because, you know, he's been playing for pretty much the best team in MLS, the Revolution, all season, and he really has the most games under his belt. And to me, that would prove to me that he's most game ready out of the 3 goalkeepers called in. I mean, Sean Johnson plays in the MLS too, but he hasn't been in the national team picture in a while. And actually, I've never really rated him as goalkeeper because in 2012, in the under-23 Olympic qualifying, he made a blunder to knock the U.S. out of the group stages, but that's another story. Defenders that Gregg called in were George Bello, John Brooks, Serginho Dest, Mark McKenzie, Shaq Moore, Tim Ream, Chris Richards, Miles Robinson, Anthony Robinson, and DeAndre Yedlin. So there were some snubs. I really wanted to see Joe Scally of Borussia Mönchengladbach in this window. He's had an absolutely lights out to his career there, really. He just moved over there recently, and he's pretty much been starting at left back for them. They've had some injuries, but when he has stepped in, he won their player of the month, actually. And he had some really good performances against Bayern and, you know, the giants of the Bundesliga. So I'm really surprised that he wasn't calling in for this camp. But other than that, Chris Richards, I really would like to see him actually get some game time. Last window, John Brooks, you know, many thought he was a solidified starter. But now I think myself and a lot of other U.S. soccer fans are asking questions about that because he was pretty much at fault for the goal against Canada. He lost his man, and then he was also partially at fault for the Honduras goal, or 2 goals we conceded. So Chris Richards, back in Hoffenheim, playing for them, I would really like to see him at least start maybe like the Costa Rica game, depending on how the first 2 games go. But so that's a big inclusion there. And another surprise inclusion for me is Shaq Moore. He hasn't been playing for his club, which makes even more case to bring in a guy like Joe Scally. he was good in the Gold Cup. He really did have a standout performance, but, World Cup qualifying is a different beast. You play road games. He doesn't have match fitness. He's not playing for his club. He's playing in the second division in Spain. A bit surprised with that. I'm also a bit surprised that someone like Matt Miazga wasn't called in, playing in La Liga. But anyways, I still think the defense can get the job done. And it's definitely weaker than our last roster, I think, but we also have some people that bolster that up, especially at the center back position like Chris Richards. Midfield, this is where we probably dropped off the most from last window, exclusively only because of the injuries to Gio Reyna and Christian Pulisic. They are left out of this roster, as some of you might know, due to injury. But we have called in some people we were missing for quite a while, and I'm going to talk about two of them. First being Luca de la Torre, playing in the Netherlands, and he is a creative number 8 that we have been missing for so long. I wanted to see him called in last window, and he wasn't. I was afraid he was going to get snubbed again, but he has really deserved this call-up. He's been playing great for his club, and he really is a creative player on the ball who can really unlock a defense, and that is really something we needed. We needed creativity in the midfield. So I really wanted him or Julian Green to get called in. Julian Green was not called in, and I'm a bit disappointed in that snub because with his club, he basically got them promotion to the Bundesliga. Now they're playing in the Bundesliga, and he's fitting right in there. So I really would have liked to see him as well. But some other notable additions: Kelna Costa, Tyler Adams, Gianluca Busio, Luca de la Torre, Sebastian Lletget, Weston McKennie is back from suspension from the team from last window, as we all know what happened there. Yunus Musa returns from injury. He just made it in time, and he had a few appearances for Valencia, and he looks so good on the ball. I'm really excited to see him back in the fold. And Christian Roldan, you can kind of expect that with a Gregg Berhalter roster, that him and Tim Ream are going to be included in it. He is a good player to have off the bench if you need a little bit of a spark, but, when I've seen him in U.S. national team kit, he hasn't really impressed me. But I'm going to hold my judgment for now because I thought last window he was okay. And then Sebastian Lletget is another one of those guys who I'm kind of indifferent on. A lot of people have strong opinions about him. To me, I feel like he plays good some games, and other games he's non-existent. So I say I'll give him one more window before I make a decision on if he should be called up for any future rosters. And looking at the forward position, one thing you might note about this is that we're really lacking on wingers. This was a problem during the Gold Cup, and we had to make it work, although it was a struggle. The wingers we called in and the strikers we called in for this window are Brendan Aronson, who's really going to have to step up this window without Pulisic and Reyna, our two best wingers, obviously, so he's going to have to take on that role. We've also called in Paul Arriola, who I don't really know why he was picked over Conrad, because Conrad was playing for Marseille in Liga 1, and Arriola is just average at best MLS winger, so I don't really know what the reason for that call-up was. He's fast. He just cannot cross. I'm sorry, but he has no technical ability. He just has speed. And I guess sometimes you need that, so maybe off the bench or something, I could see that. We've also called Matthew Hoppe back into the team after he made his move to Mallorca, had an assist against Real Madrid, and I'm really excited to see him back because he brought a lot of energy during the Gold Cup, and he was one of the standout performers for me. And we also have brought in Ricardo Pepi, who was the MVP for me last window, and Tim Way is back in the team after injury. And also coming back into the squad, first time since the Gold Cup, is Giazzi Zardes. And I'm happy with that. I would take Giazzi Zardes over Josh Sargent right now. Zardes knows Berhalter's system, and he's just a player who's built for CONCACAF. His off-the-ball movement is really good in my opinion. And Sargent has just been having poor performances for the national team, unfortunately, for the past few windows in my opinion. And not to mention his club is winless in the Premier League, and they're really struggling. So I'm fine with that. The only thing there I see a problem with is probably should have brought in Conrad, and we're really short on wingers, but what are you going to do when your two best wingers are injured? I think that it will be interesting to see who Gregg starts up top at the striker position, because now we have Ricardo Pepi, Hoppy, and Zardes, 3 players who looked promising when they played for US. I mean, Pepe's only had 1 game, but he's in lights out form for his club. Zardes isn't good for him, and Hoppy looked really good the last time he put on a US shirt. So I would really like to see them split time, and I would really see Gregg, if something's not working, for him to make a sub. I'm kind of disappointed that Jordan Pefok wasn't called in after his goal against United. He's been in hot form for his club in Switzerland. So that's a bit surprising. I honestly wouldn't have been mad if we picked him over Hoppy. But all in all, I'm pretty impressed. And I'm not really mad that Sargent's left off the roster. So some final notes: the average age of this roster is 24 years and 208 days. So I'm really excited to see what we can do. This is a window where I'm expecting 9 points. I mean, we have 2 home games, one against Jamaica. They look terrible so far. We need to win that, obviously. Then we are away to Panama. That's always been a tough game. I mean, but with the quality we have, we beat Honduras 4-1 away. There's no more excuses anymore. Away in CONCACAF, we should be winning all these games except maybe Mexico. And Costa Rica, they aren't the team they used to be. We're playing at home. We just played them in a friendly, beat them 4-0. We really should have no problems with that in our home stadium. So the lineup selection should be interesting. I'm curious to see if Busio will get time at the 6 instead of Tyler Adams, or will a player like De La Torre start in the midfield over somebody like McKennie. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please remember to hit the like button down below, and remember to subscribe for more content like this. I will be posting match previews and all types of videos about the USMNT, including weekly roundups. So see you next time, guys.